Hi, this is Mrs. Carroll. We're back with chapters 30 and 31 today of the book Counting by Sevens. And I have 3 words for us today. The first word is pumice, which is a porous or spongy form of volcanic glass. Glens, which is a small, narrow, secluded valley. And scrutiny, which is a searching examination or investigation. So I feel like Del Duke is feeling like he's under some scrutiny. Now I'm going to read 2 chapters, chapter 30 and chapter 31, and I want you to think about whose point of view is each of these chapters by, because it's not by the same person. Somebody else is telling the story each time. So we'll start with chapter 30. It was dark nowadays when Del got home to the gardens of Glenwood. The only greenery in the apartment complex was in the courtyard, and that was in a circular patch of red volcanic chips that hurt Del's feet, even when he wore thick-soled shoes and was just trying to take a shortcut to the always strange-smelling stairwell. The pumice rock minefield was dotted with stubborn weeds armed with sharp thistles, which poked up through the cheap layer of thin black plastic under the brick-colored lava bits. The thorns caught Del's exposed, fleshy ankles and drew dots of blood. There were no natural glens in the area of Bakersfield. It was a flat, dry place made green only by sprinkler systems. Maybe that is why so many apartment complexes around town were named for ferns and wet, wooded sanctuaries. It was an expression of the yearning of a moisture-challenged climate. At least that's what Willow had told him when she first asked where he lived, and he responded, he had to admit with puffy pride, the Gardens of Glenwood. Now he took the stairs to his second-floor unit because the elevator, which was required by law, never worked. Del tried in desperation to add up the events of the long and challenging month. A week after the accident, he had been, as he had predicted, his supervisor asked to see his file on Willow Chance. Del may have found the missing kid on the very day she left Mercy Hospital, but he wasn't a hero for very long. Now, weeks later, he was afraid. He could admit that, at least to himself. He had given Willow practice exams and everything from the required 3-hour test for application to medical school to 14 of the SAT subject 2s. And she had aced them all. But he made the decision not to hand those materials over. What he sent to his boss was a simple electronic form that revealed next to nothing about the girl. Somehow he'd been caught up in so many layers of deception. Willow Chance wasn't a cheater. Patty Wynn wasn't an old family friend. The Wynns didn't live in the gardens of Glenwood. Why couldn't they use their own address? He didn't homeschool her like he was supposed to, and he never had been committed to being any kind of counselor. Willow walked from the nail salon to the school district offices on Tuesday. She always was on time. Instead of taking tests or analyzing the stock market, the two now sat in silence. Del tried to think of things to motivate her, or at the very least, ease her distress. But so far, he had been a failure. Yesterday, Willow had come in, and for 55 minutes, which seemed like 55 hours, Del worked on a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle of bowls of jelly beans. Willow didn't place a single piece, but he knew she wasn't trying. And he was really bad at puzzles, so it was a struggle in all ways. After she had gone, Del opened his computer and wrote up a report. He knew now that he was being observed, and if there was one thing that Del Duke understood, it was that he didn't do well under scrutiny. He had made a mistake by ever getting involved with this genius kid, because it was a lot easier to do his job and not care about anything. And now he cared about everything. Patty Wynne hadn't enrolled in any of the necessary classes for foster parenting, and she didn't go to the one group session that had been offered. She intended to, but somehow more than 4 weeks had passed and she had yet to do more than check in with Lenore Cole, who was Willow's social worker. In the darkness of an autumn sky pressed in through the glass of the salon, Patty looked down at her calendar. A hearing had been set in family court, and a judge would make a determination about Willow in the next 2 months. But Patty decided that today wasn't the time to think about the future. Today was the day to order more shades of red nail polish. She found the new catalog from her most reliable supplier and circled a shade that she thought Willow would approve of. It was called Well Red. Just doing that made Patty feel marginally better. Chapter 31. Vietnamese is spoken here. I can understand the manicurists, even the ones who talk fast. They never whisper back and forth about their customers' nails. They talk about their lives. While they file and buff and paint, I hear their stories, which are nearly all about husbands and children and other family members. Many of them are related to one another, cousins and sisters, mothers and daughter-in-laws. They are a tribe. They don't know that what I hear is hurtful, because even as they complain about bad men or lazy kids, the pain for me is seeing how they are so connected to one another and to their families and to the world. These women wrap themselves in their stories from the minute they walk through the glass doors until the second they leave at the end of the day. They use words to build something that is as real as cloth. And while they complain in lower voices about one another, they are joined by blood and circumstance and shared experiences. They are part of something bigger than themselves, even if they don't realize it. I do. I have seen trees that survive fire. Their bark is burnt and their limbs are dead branches. But hidden under that skeleton is a force that sends a single shoot of green out into the world. Maybe if I'm lucky, that will one day happen to me. But right now, I can't see it. Patty is at the front door. Everywhere in here is white. The reception area, the manicure chairs, the floor. White equals clean. I'm pretty sure that with the exception of the color red, Patty would be pleased if every other shade in the world disappeared. That's how she sees things. She has schedules and rules and methods, and every day she does her best to impose these on the world, one chipped fingernail repair at a time. My mother used the old expression, there is a place for everything and everything should be in its place, but she didn't practice it. Patty does. I would say that with the exception of me sitting in the back of the salon, she's winning the battle. Patty is adding up something on a calculator when the phone rings. After she says hello, I hear, "Today?" I look over because I am now an expert in her voice, and while it was even and unemotional, I still heard something different in it. The person on the other end of the phone line is doing all the talking. Patty shoots a look to the back of the salon and our eyes connect. This must be the call where she officially gets rid of me. I hear her say, "I work until 6:30. Patty looks out the window. She's struggling now. I want to make this easy for her. I get up from my spot in the back and I fold up the furniture pad. I close my computer and I take off my glasses. I breathe deep. I know that I've been nothing but a problem. I've tried to be invisible, but just my presence here has changed the dynamic of the situation. Quang Ha was mad before, but now he's a volcano when we cross the alley at night to the garage. May puts on a good front, but even she seems tired of the whole arrangement. I need this to be easy for Patty. She has been so good to me. So I turn to face her and I do my best to smile. I want the smile to say that I'm grateful for what she's done for me. I want it to say that I'm sorry for being broken. I want it to say that I understand her situation. So I'm trying. I really, truly am. But my teeth stick to my lip and my whole mouth quivers. Patty sees my creepy grin and turns away. I hear her voice, shaky now, say, "We won't be there until 6:45. Is that too late?" Patty hangs up and right away dials a number. Her even disposition is one of her best qualities, and she's maintaining it, sort of. Maybe that happens when you've been through a lot. All of your edges are worn off like sea glass. Either that or you shatter. Bakersfield is 130 miles from the Pacific Ocean, but twice I drove to the beach just outside of Santa Maria with my parents. There was a short period of time when I obsessed with the study of the ocean, since it takes up more than 70% of the planet. But on the 2 times that we went to visit, I was afraid. The unpredictable current and the vast, complex system of wildlife that resides beneath the churning water gave me hives. Literally. I was a body of bumps. So I admire Patty's composure. I knew that by my time my time here wouldn't last long. And today is the proof. I find myself always waiting for bad news now, so it's almost a relief to get some. I walk to the front counter. I hear Patty saying, "A woman called from Child Services. They are doing a home visitation today." Once I'm close, she shoots me a look and then hits a button, and suddenly Del Duke's voice is on the speakerphone. "Well, it's pretty obvious you don't live at my place." Patty only shrugs and says, "It's temporary." He says, "Why did we use my address? What's wrong with where you live?" Patty ignores the question. She says, "Let's start by taking a look at your apartment." I hear Del slamming something, his fist into a file cabinet, his head onto his desk. "I can't just leave. I'd have to take a sick day or—" Patty hits the speakerphone release button and Del's voice is cut off. She then says, "Come get us. We'll be here waiting." She puts the receiver back into the cradle and returns to her work. She says again to no one in particular, "Temporary." Thanks for listening today to Counting by Sevens. Check in again for the next chapters.